What's up, guys? My name is JodyCut5 and welcome to the Chelsea versus Wolves preview as Chelsea take on the team from Wolverhampton in the 8 o'clock kickoff in tomorrow's Monday night football. Before we do get into this video, if you haven't done so already, please hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the notification button so you never miss a video. Over 80% of you are currently unsubscribed and it's completely free to do so. So hit that big red button down below and it does me a massive favour. So Enzo Maresca's Chelsea is set to welcome Wolverhampton Wanderers to Stamford Bridge on Monday night, in which could be a very big match for us, in fairness, due to the recent results. Bearing in mind, I am recording this around Sunday afternoon, so what I am showing you, obviously, we haven't had an update from what the fixtures have been on Sunday, but regardless of what Man City do against Ipswich Town, we are able to climb the table and go up to 4th due to the result against Newcastle and Bournemouth, where Bournemouth triumphed in a 4-1 victory. It has to be said that Chelsea's performances of late have been very disappointing, and there's no kind of denying that whatsoever. And Enzo Maresca was quite clear to say that the other day when he was asked about how January was going, and he quite clearly said a disaster. And it has been. It really has. We haven't really seemed to got the ball rolling ever since that game against Brentford. We just really have been so poor. So hopefully we can sort of do something today. I mean, we kind of got the point by scraping a lovely free kick from Reece James the other week. So I'm hoping we're able to kind of bounce back and really put a performance in today, because as much as we're never going to put a title charge in, the top 4 should realistically kind of be in a good kind of spot right now, and especially when we've been given the chance to be able to kind of go back into that particular place. We had a really good game against Wolverhampton in the start of the season on August 25th, where Noni Madueke nets a hat-trick and Chelsea was able to come out 6-2 victorious. So we realistically should be kind of going off of that, but at the same time we just never know. Wolves have had a bit of a change up, bearing in mind Victor Pereira is now obviously their manager. He won the first 2 league games in the club when he first started out, but he's lost 2 and drawn 1 since. Not having the best of form, don't get me wrong, but probably steadying the ship a slight better compared to what Gary O'Neill done throughout the season. Chelsea could be without many players in this game, and that's the worrying factor. That could be the only worrying factor about our game, in fairness. Benoit Badiashile, Levi and Wesley Fofana, are obviously the 2 that are mentioned and have been for a number of weeks now. The only doubts are Levi Colwill, Cole Palmer and Romeo Lavia. I'm not too fussed about Lavia, but Colwill and Palmer definitely a big loss if they weren't to feature. So my lineups are going to be based on what I can see in terms of the doubts and so on, as well as Enzo Fernandez potentially being a doubt. So I'm not too sure at this moment in time. I think Enzo's fine, but it's still not kind of cleared up on the other 3. Obviously, we've got Trevor Chalobah back now from loan from Crystal Palace after recalling him, which is an absolute fantastic move. I never agreed to put him on loan in the first place, and I didn't think it was the right option for ourselves. But obviously, the club thought they had the subsequent kind of centre-back partnerships, and it just hasn't really worked out for ourselves also. In terms of Wolves, they'll not be able to select Boubacar Traoré, so Andre and João Gomes should be able to partner each other in the midfield. Toti Gomez and Yerison Mosquera have also been ruled out, meaning Matt Doherty, Santiago Bueno and Emmanuel Agbedo could start at that back 3. So really interesting to see. Wolves have got quite a few. Enzo Gonzalez and Sazat Karadzic are also unavailable, with Cunha, who's been dealing with an illness. So I'm not too sure if he's going to appear or not, but it'll be a big kind of help if he doesn't, because he's probably their own real kind of goal scorer for Wolves, in fairness. So it's a hard game to predict. It really is. We need the points, but at the same time, we haven't been able to beat teams that we should realistically kind of get over the line against. So we're kind of facing a side that's near to the bottom, and we're kind of the other end of the scale, where we're looking to be able to see if we can kind of get top 4. So really interesting, that's for sure. Hopefully we can kind of come out top, but at the same time, we just never really know. That's for sure, because you just never know what you're going to get with Chelsea. That is a definite. 1 minute you could see us and we play absolutely unbelievable. Other times you can see us and we play very poorly. Now, an interesting fact to this, I was looking at the last 5s against Wolverhampton, and it doesn't look good. In the last 5, we've lost 3 and drawn 2. Really interesting to see. We've had 118 meetings together. Wolves have won 43. There's been 30 draws, and we've won 45. So there's not that much that separates the 2 sides, in fairness. I know Cole Palmer and Noni Madueke stole the show when we last played them, but in terms of actual head-to-head record, we look really poor. We really do, and I'm very surprised to see that, especially against a side like Wolves. No disrespect, but at the same time, it's one of those where you just kind of feel like we should really coming on top, but at the same time, we just haven't been able to do so. So really unfortunate that we haven't, but at the same time, hopefully we're able to change that and be able to kind of get another win on the record and be able to kind of prove our worth in this game against Wolves. Looking at the last 6 fixtures that Wolverhampton have played out, there's no denying that they have made an improvement, that's for sure. Their last game wasn't too good though, unfortunately, a 3-0 loss against Newcastle. They was able to grab a win in the FA Cup against Bristol City. Unfortunately, then another 3-0 loss against Nottingham Forest, a 2-2 draw against Tottenham, a win against Man United, and a win against Leicester City. There's an improvement there, but at the same time, there's still a lot to be done to be able to kind of recoup the form that they need in this season to be able to stay up in factor, and that's quite clear to see. And just looking at the fixtures that we have got here and the goals they have conceded, it's quite clear to see they're very leaky from the back. We are at the same time. Our defence is very poor, and we've always conceded many goals. Hopefully that can change, but at the same time, I just never feel like it would, because it always seems to be a game that we can never have a game that goes by that we keep a clean sheet. But looking at this, you would think they're there for the taking, but as I said, we've seen so many different oppositions, and I've looked at different oppositions over this time, and it's quite clear to see that we should have beaten a number of teams over that time, but we haven't managed to be able to do so. So when you look at it on paper, yes, we should be coming out on top, but when you actually look at it as a whole and the teams that we've played and the performances that we put in, then realistically it'll probably be quite an even game, that's for sure. These are the current standings at this moment in time, bearing in mind obviously we are a point behind Newcastle, but Man City could leap into a decent position if we win against Ipswich, but obviously we were able to knock them out of that particular position and go above them if we were to win against Wolves. The season's been very strange. We started off so well, but we've played 21, won 10, drawn 7 and lost 4. The draws are very worrying, very worrying. A few of our losses are quite questionable at the same time, but when you look at the draws and the points that we have lost against the teams that we've drawn against, Everton, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth the other day. I mean, to be honest though, looking at Bournemouth's performance yesterday, it actually kind of made me wonder, did we actually get a good result though in the position that we were in? I'm not too sure, but Wolves are right down the bottom. They're in 17th. They're currently on level on points with Ipswich, so if Ipswich do get a point, they're able to kind of put themselves out of the relegation zone. But yeah, it's really tight down the bottom, and it's very hard to say who's going to get relegated at this point in the season. There's still many games to play, that's for sure, but at the same time, you just never know what could happen at that bottom, because it's very tight. I mean, the one that makes me laugh is Tottenham on 24 points, and they're not that far from the drop either. That's really surprising, that's for sure. But yeah, it's very tight down that bottom, and then there's a very big gap from there onwards, that's for sure. I mean, obviously Southampton on 6 points, they've had a terrible season so far. It's really interesting to see, that's for sure. But this is going to be my lineup prediction, a little bit different. Not that I'm used to be able to kind of making a lot of changes, but Robert Sanchez in goal. I don't think we've got either a choice. I just don't think Philip Jorgensen's good enough, and neither is Robert Sanchez. I've slated Sanchez, I've backed him up, I've slated him, I've backed him up again. His performance the other day against Bournemouth was terrible. I'm hoping that his distribution won't be as poor as what it was against Bournemouth, because if it is, then we're in for a shocker, that's for sure. So realistically, he's stuck with his guns, Enzo Maresca, and he's always gone for Sanchez in goal, so that's the only reason I've picked him. Cucurella on the left hand side, didn't have the best of games against Bournemouth, but hopefully we'll be able to see that form kind of improve. Reece James on the right hand side. I know Enzo Maresca mentioned that he wants to obviously kind of keep James as fit as he possibly can with recent injuries, but at the same time it was quite clear to see that he steadied the ship when he came on as a substitute. Even if it's the case where we take him off a little bit earlier than expected, then I'm quite happy to see him start. In my two partnering, if Levi Cole isn't able to play, I don't think Josh Akipong will be in the fold with an early substitution, so I'm going to go on for Trevor Chalobah and Tosin. I'd like to see Chalobah back in the fold. There's no reason for recalling him and sticking him on the bench. If he's coming back, we need to play him, and he was one of our best centre-backs last season and playing 11 games and not losing a single one, so interesting to see, and I definitely feel like he'd be a good partner with Tosin. I know he is a doubt, but I've gone for Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo. I'm not really too sure who we're actually going to be able to play in that fold because we don't have much backup. Because I'm pretty sure Kian Dewsbury-Hall is also injured, so big concerns in that middle. But Caicedo is fit; he's raring to go. He's definitely not a right back, so he needs to put back into that middle fold. That's for sure. Jadon Sancho on the left hand side. I would put João in there, but he just doesn't seem to get started at all. So we're going to have Jadon Sancho on the left hand side, Pedro Neto on the right. I think Noni Madueke's attitude and performance as of late has been disgraceful, in fairness, and I just don't really want to see him in the side. So Pedro Neto would definitely be the favourable on the right hand side. And if Cole Palmer is injured, I'd put Nkuku behind Nicholas Jackson. I think it would be the best move. He's played in that role a lot of the times in the Conference League. He moans about game time, and it seems to be the deal with Bayern Munich is off. So I think this would be the kind of good move for ourselves to be able to kind of put in Nkuku with Jackson and see how that kind of link up goes, because we haven't really seen that before in any sort of time in the Premier League or any cup competition or whatever. So yeah, Christopher Nkuku in that middle, and then I'll go for Nicholas Jackson as the lone striker. I think Jackson's performances of late have been absolutely just average. They've been no good whatsoever. Scoring 9 goals this season, he started the season off really brightly, but he hasn't continued that whatsoever, and we need to see some goals for his own well-being, in fairness, because it only does himself good in terms of confidence and so on, and I think he's definitely kind of worthy of doing so, and he's definitely got the talent to do so, and he's displayed that on many occasions, but it's just kind of getting it out of him, I feel. So that would be my 11. It's not the strongest 11, but I think if with the injuries that we've got, I think it's the strongest 11 that we could possibly go with. Maybe a few changes might be able to kind of put the kind of G up in a few players to be able to kind of put some performances in and be able to kind of shine when they normally are not able to do so. As I mentioned, I'd love to see Chalobah back in the fold. I'm not too sure what happens with the situation if he's going to stay on, but I think if he does put a load of decent performances in there, there's no reason why we shouldn't. And I know we wanted to sell him due to PSR and so on, and we've kind of backfired with that massively. And it just goes to show how much of a mockery it has been in the situation. But it'd be really nice to see him back in the Chelsea shirt on Monday, that's for sure. But that'd be my final 11, and then let's go into my score prediction. So this is my score prediction. I'm going for a Chelsea 3, Wolves 1. I think it's time to be able to kind of change the tide and really be able to kind of get ourselves a win. It's quite clear that we are able to create chances. It says finding the back of the net on some occasions, but we had plenty of chances in the first half against Bournemouth to be able to kind of get the goals. If it works in our favour on the night, I feel like we really can be able to kind of get monster goals. At the same time, I feel like we're going to concede. Our defence has been really poor, and we've always lacked a lot of moments where we've conceded goals very poorly. Even if we go 3-0 up, I just feel like we're always kind of ones to be able to concede. So a 3-1 would be perfect for ourselves. Gain the confidence back on the side, 3 points back on the board, and be able to kind of move further forward on with a massive game on the weekend against Manchester City. But yeah, really interesting this is going to be. I'm hoping that we're going to turn up. I'm hoping we get the job done, and hopefully things can change for ourselves as a club, because it's been very bleak as of late. But that is it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. Please like and subscribe for more content, and don't forget to hit that notification button so you never miss a video. Cheers.